We're at Oktoberfest here just outside the Smoky Mountain National Park in Tennessee. Go get the popcorn and get back on the couch. Don't touch that remote. It's time for Lumberjacks.
Lumberjacks is sponsored by Echo, professional quality, ask any pro. Crown, protect, maintain, save. Bodog, be a player. Red Pine Wilderness Lodge, simply unreal fishing.
We're 2/3 of the way through the competition at the second annual Wears Valley Oktoberfest Lumberjack Competition. We're just outside the Smoky Mountain National Park. It's actually the most visited national park in all of the United States. Hi, I'm Bill Deeb, and I'm with my co-host and Lumberjack sport analyst Rod Cumberland. And Rod, a change of the leaderboard this week. A different Koger sitting at the top of the standings.
That's right. Last week we had Matt Koger leading the way. This week his cousin Arden Koger Jr., he's on top of the heap. But boys, it's really tight. There's only 15 points between him and second place, and the rest of them are all within 35 points.
Now this week we're covering the hot saw. I love watching the hot saw. I know people out there like watching the hot saw as well, but you're focusing on the single buck. What's so interesting about the single buck this week?
Well, actually for us Canadians, the single buck's interesting because some of the blades that they're running here are from Canada. J.P. Mercy from Quebec, he manufactures single buck blades. He's the best in the business, and Dave Jewett, he's running one. He's been trained by him. It's going to be really fast. I'm expecting Dave Jewett to come out on top in the single buck.
And as we head into the last four events, we got a leaderboard chock full of class talent here. Arden Koger Jr., our prosecuting attorney from the state of West Virginia, leading the way, 285. But look at the guys behind him. Lenz, Koger, Jewett, and Sullivan, all within striking distance. Anything can happen here. We're heading into the single buck. In total, we had 10 competitors. We're going to be showing the top four heats and heats of two, starting off with Mark Jones and Nathan Waterfield. And Rod, sawing through 18 inches of white pine. That's no easy feat with these big single buck saws, some 5 feet, 6 feet in length.
That's right. It'll come down today, I think, to really the condition of the guys, who's been practicing, and actually who's got the best saw here. I know that a couple of the guys have brand new saws. May make the big difference between first and fifth place in this event.
Couple different styles here. Mark Jones starting on the push stroke, and he starts on a little bit of an angle. Nathan Waterfield on the left-hand side, he's a little more horizontal.
Yeah, and sometimes it comes down to the height of the guys. The taller competitors will usually start at an angle and use their height to an advantage. They really get a good solid push on the blade.
Both guys struggling with a little bit of catching rakers there. Mark Jones, he struggled with a couple of catches there. Nathan Waterfield, Mark Jones wins the first heat in a 14:34. Okay, you started on a push stroke. Why is that? Most people start on a pull stroke.
It seems like I get into my full length a lot quicker. Because a lot of people, when they pull back, they just pull back to their, the middle of the chest. But when I push, I can push all the way out, and then when I pull back, it seems like I can get into my full length a lot quicker.
You seem to be pretty happy with that. There were no hang-ups, so you're keeping your saw pretty level?
I had a hang up there like I had a chip pull out on the cookie side, and it sucked right back in, and it caught my raker. And I think it's just where the wood's just a little dry on the outside. But other than that, the saw run good. I just wish I'd run a little better or didn't have that chip.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got to combine the best of both worlds. You need strength, and also you need speed and agility in the single buck. And you see, Mark has all kinds of strength. He can really push that saw, but the speed and agility really was lacking. He seemed a little bit tight. You want to really flow with this blade, and with the quality competitors we have, we're going to see that before it's over.
Well, here's a West Virginia battle. Chris Bradshaw on the right-hand side. Matt Koger on the left-hand side. Going to try to beat 14:34. Both guys looking smooth right now. Look at Koger going. He breaks things off. Not sure what the judge is going to call on that. Did he cut all the wood? We're going to see. So, Matt, John had a good hard look at your cut there. Were you a little bit concerned that you might get a DQ?
I was a little concerned there because I looked at the thing there and I only had just a wood fiber just holding on. So I figured it might be a DQ, but I haven't really reviewed the rules yet. So it's good. Just good to know that was a good cut still.
Now, your chopping game has come a long way. I noticed that for sure, but it seems your sawing game has come almost as far.
Yeah, I had a good guy to stone my saw, Paul Feniger. So he really did a good job with my saw there, and it's been cutting really well this year, and he's helped me get it squared away. So hopefully everything falls into place, and it'll be good as Melvin.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Well, the young gun Matt Koger said it right there that things fell into place literally for him in the single buck as he cut the remainder of the block, pulling back through, gives him the first place time right now at 10:01.
Hey, during our stay here, we had a chance to try some of the root beer from the House of McGilly.
Step right up and don't be shy, because Doc McGilly's going to heal your eyes. It's right here in this blue glass, and you're going to like it because it's got class. It's been served to the kings and queens of Europe, the sultans of Siam, the Maharajas of India, the maniacs of Mongolia, and every one of them dug it. Now available right here, right now for you. That didn't make 30 seconds, did it?
Back here in the Smoky Mountains on Lumberjacks. We're halfway through the single buck, and right now we have a time of 10:01 set by Matt Koger with 4 excellent Sawyers still to come. Len Sullivan, a little bit later, Jewett and Koger Jr. Which one of these guys you like in this heat?
Well, of course, the two of my best buddies here. Mike Sullivan, of course, a good hunting buddy of mine, and Melvin Lentz. He's one of the best in the business, especially with single buck. Watch his technique here. It's flawless. He uses a full blade, really throws his shoulders and hips into everything he's doing. What a great cut by Melvin.
I always like the head jerk of Melvin, throwing his entire body, including his head at a log. Melvin Lenz comes in and wins the heat with a 10:49. Okay, King of the Lumberjacks, single bucking. How many times have you raced Mike Sullivan?
I'll tell you what, Bill, in the last 30 years, quite a few times, quite a few.
Now, you won that particular race, and by quite a large margin. You know, Mike's a good Sawyer. What happened there?
Well, actually, I got a new saw from JP, and actually that's the third time I've run it, and I finally got a cutoff with it, but I was real surprised there to beat Mike by a couple of strokes there. So hopefully it might be holding good enough there to get first place.
Thanks, Mel.
Thank you.
Earlier in the day, we had a chance to talk to Dave Jewett from Pittsford, New York, about his career in Lumberjacks, both past and present.
Well, it's different. It's a different ballgame now. I had that kidney transplant, so that knocked me back a year, and I'm not the same. I'm not as big as I used to be. That's the effects of a surgery like that. So, like Lance Armstrong's, not as big as he was, but you know, you just have to adapt. So, I'm still physically there, probably not as strong. I don't have that horsepower, that thump that I used to have. And, you know, I have to be mentally stronger now. I really do, to show up to these competitions. No, I'm probably not as strong as I used to be, but try to stay focused. Well, you know, I went over to Sydney, Australia, and I beat all but one over there in the one-man crosscut. And Melvin Lentz is the only American to ever get that far. So I actually shocked myself and a lot of people by surprisingly placing that high, taking a silver medal in Sydney. And so I guess my point is I can still do it as long as it's all believing you can do it. That's all it is.
Well, Dave Jewett has shown that belief in himself, and he's made quite a comeback after that surgery, and here he is taking him on in a single buck.
Well, this is the last heat of the single buck. We've got Dave Jewett and Arden Koger Jr. It's going to be a great race. Arden, a little bit more known for his chopping, and Dave has been a world-class sawyer for 10 or 15 years now.
Years and years, and also is his sawing buddy of J.P. Mersey, who makes the best blades in the world. Here's Dave using one.
Look at that technique by Dave Jewett. A lot like Melvin Lentz, throwing his arms and head in. Dave Jewett wins a single buck. You start off with your saw pretty horizontal to the ground, but by the time you're done, you're on a 30-degree angle, something like that, and look pretty flawless to me.
Yeah, actually a flawless cut. I like to try to maintain that same angle all the way down. Anytime you change the angle, it's sort of defeating the purpose of the saw. It's like chainsawing and changing the angle. So I'll probably try to adjust that a little bit, but that was a good cut. Usually I'll come off and say, I missed a stroke, I lost my balance, but that was a good cut. And I got whipped about 2 weeks ago at a tournament in the single by the guy who made this saw, J.P. Mercier. So, you know, it's good for me to get beat and go back, okay, do this right, try to come out with a win. We'll see what the time says.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Bill.
A lot of these guys giving credit to Canadian J.P. Mercier for manufacturing and selling these saws to them. Well, Dave Jewett also gives credit to J.P. for spanking him a couple of weeks ago as he wins a single buck. We've been down here for a few days, and while in the Wares Valley, the crew and I had the great pleasure of staying with one of the beautiful homes owned by Great Cabins in the Smokies. You want to check them out if you're coming down to the eastern part of Tennessee. They're located just outside the boundary of Smoky Mountain National Park in the eastern part of the state. These gorgeous cabins are extremely comfortable and loaded with all the amenities you'd want in a 5-star living accommodation. The crew and I were able to relax in our 6-bedroom cabin, complete with flat-screen TVs in each of the rooms, including 2 hot tubs to boot out in the deck. Much thanks to Jerry Sandifer for really taking care of us while our stay here, covering the Wares Valley Oktoberfest and the Lumberjack competition. Now, this part of the competition, we're getting ready for the Jill and Jill buck. And Rod, we've only got one heat coming up in this.
That's right. The ladies are getting off a little bit easy in the Jill and Jill, cutting 12 inches of tulip poplar. They only have to make one cut.
Well, we got two teams, two excellent teams. Trisha Jones and Christy Koger, both with their husbands here, taking on Lindsay Down and Nancy Zaleski, both single women, but they've been working together for a lot of years in the double buck, including going down under to Australia working together. Nancy's a world-class single bucker. She knows how to handle a saw, that's for sure.
That's right. That experience of sawing together, Bill, means a lot in this event. You got to be able to work together and anticipate when the person's pulling and pushing, and of course that means a whole lot in this event.
And the gun goes and they're off, and look at the pressure being put on the team on the left-hand side, the downward pressure. They're pulling and pushing, no flaws at all, and they win the Jill and Jill with a 5.92. You two have sawn together quite a bit, but just tell me the difference between sawing when you're sawing with another woman as opposed to sawing with a man. Do you make any adjustments?
I don't know if I make that much of an adjustment, but you have to be ready for their weight, their speed, because everyone saws differently, whether it's another woman or another man. I mean, if I was sawing with a different woman, the technique would still apply, but I might just not put as much weight or something.
So it's more about maybe knowing your partner and who you're sawing with and adjusting to what their skills are.
Absolutely, yeah. Lindsay and I both good sawyers. We match real well. So when I saw with her, I don't make much adjustment from what I saw with Mike. She's a strong sawyer, you know, so I know that whatever I send to her, she's going to pull, and I'm going to reverse that as well. So it's real fun to saw with her. It's really
good job, and thank you. And kudos to Lindsay and Nancy for winning the Jill and Jill buck. One heat there in a 5.92, and they take that event. But right now we're going to switch gears a little bit to the Jack and Jill buck. We have two pair of husband and wife competitors. We got Nathan and Holly, Matt and Sarah.
That's right. Matt and Sarah just getting into the sport, of course, learning a little bit. I'm sure that Nathan's trying to teach them all he can. Nathan and Holly, of course, have been at this quite a while. We'll see quite a difference here, I would expect, in the way these two teams saw.
Well, it's a great opportunity for husband and wives to work together. I'm sure you'd work like this with your wife as well. Look at that. Nathan and Holly taking it to them right now. And Nathan and Holly win the first heat of the Jack and Jill buck in a 6.29. So you're practically down on your knees towards the end of that cut, and going down with the cut is literal for you.
Yeah, I slipped out. I should have a foot block on that. Usually sawing on a stage, you know, most of the competitions we've been doing lately, and you have better grip on the wood with the metal spikes in the shoes, but filled up with dirt, and by the end of the cut I slipped right out and was really reaching to finish the cut. Smaller wood too, we're used to cutting larger wood, and so it was just a little bit of a change.
So now Nathan was mentioning something about the wood here, showing you. What does he tell you about the wood and as you're looking at it afterwards?
Oh, well, we had a little bit of a rough start, and so we're looking, you can see the top of the block here, our cuts are a lot more rough. Towards the bottom it's really smooth where we finally got into a rhythm, but we were just looking at how smooth that cut was, and you can actually see where the different strokes were. Gives us a sign of the trouble that we had.
Good job there by Nathan and Holly with a 6.29 to lead the way. We still have two heats to go. We got Koger and Koger taking on Jones and Jones.
That's right, both husband and wife teams, and obviously when you're husband and wife you get to practice a little bit at home together, but things all of a sudden crop up in life that may change that practice ability. Of course, when you start having kids, we had 4 kids, that really put a damper in my practicing, and I know the Jones have just had a couple of kids too, so that may slow them down a little bit.
Well, we're going to see what happens here. That's once again 12 inches of tulip poplar. And I think Jones and Jones have been around for a few years, even though they haven't practiced much. Look at that, it's going to be close. Jones and Jones win the second heat with a 4.74. So the judge had a look at your disc and deemed it to be okay, or explain to me the rule on the measurement.
There's a snipe rule. Most generally it's 1/4 inch in softwood and it's a 1/2 inch in hardwood, and we're cutting tulip poplar, which is hardwood, so it's a 1/2 inch snipe rule when we was under 1/2 inch.
So what happened at the end there? Why did it snap off? What's your opinion?
Well, the cut before us was cut crooked, and we were trying to get enough room to make sure that we didn't cut out. I'm not really sure exactly what happened. I was concentrating more on keeping the saw on the wood and just keep going.
Well, here we go, changing gears again. Last heat of the Jill and Jill buck, 4.74 is the time to beat. We're done with the married couples. Here come the singletons now. Down in Jewett taking on Zaleski and Sullivan.
That's right. All these competitors really fierce in their own rights, of course. And the Jack and Jill, 100 more points on the line. So they know if they pull together a really good cut, they're going to get more points towards their overall total.
Well, it's going to be fast, and it's got to be flawless. I can guarantee you one of these pair of competitors are going to be flawless. Any kind of mistake, and they're going to lose it, that's for sure. Good, clean start by both of them. It's going to be close. Mike and Nancy win the Jack and Jill. So that's a 4.5 second sprint to be sure. You said something to Mike literally on the 1 count. What did you say to him?
Are you ready to go? We've been working on trying to pick up our speed. Over the years, we've just gotten to be heavier and heavier sawyers, and it's not doing it for us anymore. We need to get more speed back into it, like we used to cut. So I just said, are you ready to go? And we had to pick up the speed.
Now, Mike, to the average person, 4.5 seconds is not very much. But there's a lot going on in that 4.5 seconds, right?
There's a lot going on. It's from the first stroke to the second stroke to, you know, the strokes in between and then the bottom strokes. There's a lot going on. It's amazing, yeah. And you can't make a mistake because it's 4 seconds. You make one little mistake, you're going to lose.
So she says pick up the pace. At what point in 4.5 seconds do you pick up the pace?
I do whatever she says. Well, you try to get the saw in on the first stroke, get it deep, you know, make a good deliberate stroke, and then you go.
Well, Mike Sullivan's been at this sport a long time and knows that speed is critical in the Jack and Jill Buck, and he and Nancy take first place with a 4.20 seconds.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Bodog. Be a player.
Lumberjacks rule, yeah! Palmer Painting in the Smokies, East Tennessee Realty, Jerry Sandiford, yeah!
And thank you to Jerry Sandiford for putting us up here at the Oktoberfest in Wears Valley, Tennessee. We're ready for the hot saw, but right now we got Dave Jewett leading the way. It's kind of his to win or lose right now. He's leading the way 425 points. We got Mike Sullivan with 360 and Matt Koger with 335 going into the hot saw. And you know, Rod, anything can happen in the hot saw. We got 4 heats coming up. Nathan Waterfield in the first heat.
That's right. This is the NASCAR racing of lumberjack sports. It's fast and furious and exciting, but anything can go wrong.
And Nathan struggles at the beginning of the 3 cuts for 20 inches round, and he throws a chain. He's not going to finish this one, that's for sure. I guess that was an exercise in frustration. First, the fuel. What happened there?
Yeah, when I warmed up the saw, the fuel line came detached from the fuel tank, and so I quick kind of stuffed the hose back where it should be. I didn't even think I was going to have enough fuel to finish the cut, but I didn't have time to mess around to go get fuel. I would have DQ'd before I got fuel, and so I tried to run it anyways. I had fuel over my hands. I picked up the saw and I was crooked on the log to begin with, and then I thought I had some chance coming on the upcut and going to make my 3rd cut. I don't know if I stuffed it too hard too quickly or something, but just threw the chain, and yeah, just forget it.
Well, we don't have a time to beat right now because of that DQ for Nathan Waterfield. Heading into heat number 2, we got Chris Bradshaw taking on Matt Koger. Now, as it stands right now, Matt Koger's in 3rd place. He can still win this competition, but it all hinges on what Jewett does a little bit later, so the pressure's on him to make a good cut.
That's right. All the pressure on the young gun here. 100 points for first place. He only needs 90 to take over first place. He needs a flawless cut.
Both guys into the wood. Matt Koger running a 325. Rotex looking good right now. No, he cuts out the last one. He's going to try to get one more in the 6 inches.
Oh, looks like Koger's going to take a DQ in the hot saw.
Matt, never fun taking a DQ or anything like that. Just tell me, did you not line up correctly, or what happened on that cut?
Yeah, on the last cut there, it just didn't line up quite right, and then I ended up cutting out and thought I could go back and steer it right, but I just didn't.
Well, shows like this is where you gain experience for young guns like Matt Koger, and of course you had a good chance here to learn what to do and what not to do in the hot saw event.
Well, heading into heat number 3, 7:89 is now our time to beat. Chris Bradshaw clocked that time in the last heat. Koger Jr. taking on Dave Jewett. A couple more 325 Rotax engines with veteran competitors.
That's right. These guys know how to run them. Both had good starts. Both good cookies at the start here. They're really clocking a great time.
It's going to be a great time, but Koger wins the heat because Jewett takes a DQ. A lot of frustration built up there. You were a little bit slow in getting to the wood as well. Jamie beat you to the wood. You caught up, and then what happened?
Well, the reason I'm slow is the last 4 shows I haven't pulled it hard enough, and the saw hasn't even started. So all I wanted to do was get it to the wood, make sure it was started. So I just pulled it slow, got it up. Okay, it's going. But I took a real thick disc to begin with, and then I was compromised fitting the last 2 in, and I thought I had it, but I cut out on the 3rd disc, so I'm 1 for 5 now in the last 5 tournaments. It's unbelievably unprofessional, I got to tell you.
So can you just show me the tension that you're going to use today and how you're going to tighten it, and what kind of tension you're looking for?
I like mine pretty tight. I like it tight because when it gets going, it'll still come off the bar. Your standard chain, usually you want to pull the driver up to the bottom, to the edge of the bar, but mine's a little bit tighter than that, but in different places in the bar, it does come up. So because of the shape of the bar. It's not flat, it's round. So I like it fairly tight. I tighten it right here with these 4 bolts. Very simple, nothing really complicated about it. And I stick this, this is my chain tensioner. I sticks it in that hole there, push like that, and then just tighten up the chain.
Well, with that DQ by Dave Jewett, Mike Sullivan has now got the door open for him. 75 points is what he needs to tie Jewett for the overall championship here. 100 points, he's going to have a victory.
That's right. He needs a flawless cut. Everything needs to work right with this Rotax engine of his. And, of course, he needs to beat Melvin Lentz.
Melvin Lentz is no easy guy to beat, that's for sure. Both guys in the wood right there. Both guys looking good.
Oh, close cut by Mike. Melvin Lentz is going to take the heat.
Sullivan finishes, but will it be enough? You were neck and neck with Melvin the whole way, but you had a bit of a bog down there at the end there. It just cost you a fraction of a second.
I was right on the line. I had to turn my wrists and keep it steered out. Can't do that.
So that causes it to slow right down.
That last cut was really slow. I hit the line. I was right up on the line. I was right next to it, and I just had to steer it away from the line. So that cost me.
So these things you can you actually steer. You got 20 inches of wood there. You can do some steer control. You know, once at the beginning.
Yeah. If you can correct it quick. If you're in the middle of the cut, see, that's why you got to correct it quick, right on the top. If you notice, I probably took a long time right on the top because I'm trying to correct it. Once you get in, no, the bar's too wide, too thick, you can't correct it.
Well, there's no question about it in the Lumberjack world. The hot saw event is the most technical there is. Jewett Coger Waterfield falling victim to that, taking DQs. Melvin Lentz capitalizing on that opportunity, puts in a great cut with 6.86 seconds.
And this week our crown pivotal point is Mike and Nancy in the Jack and Jill Buck. A flawless maneuver in one cut, a 12-inch tulip poplar. 4.2 seconds was the winning cut. 100 points for Mike Sullivan.
Well, Melvin Lentz didn't have a partner in Jack and Jill. Of course, that cost him some valuable points. Dave Jewett took a DQ on the hot saw. Left the door wide open for Mike Sullivan. He's our overall champion today at Oktoberfest with 435 points.
Well, there it is. It's in the books. The 11th season of Lumberjacks. What a spectacular finish here in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. Hats off to Jerry Sandifer and his great crew for a good competition. Hope to see you again next season on Lumberjacks.
Lumberjacks is sponsored by Echo, professional quality, ask any pro. Crown, protect, maintain, save. Bodog, be a player. Red Pine Wilderness Lodge, simply unreal fishing.